You are walking under the damp, heavy concrete of a city sewer. You look left, a nest. You look right, another one, swarming and coiling in the dark. You look up, and before you can blink, one creature drops right onto your face. If it were me, I would pass out. But not you. You grab it by the tail, take it home, and roast it over an open fire. Incredible. A perfect meal. Why? Because the creature you just caught is a supreme evolutionary machine. To truly understand this, we must look at the staggering numbers across our planet. The exact total is unknown. However, conservative estimates from leading pest control experts and wildlife biologists place their global population at roughly 7 to 10 billion. They vastly outnumber the people living on Earth today. Down in the dark, they spend their days focused entirely on three simple things: eating whatever they find, rapidly breeding, and flawlessly surviving, with massive health benefits rivaling chicken breast, sheer numbers that overwhelm humanity, and a reproduction rate that breaks all logical rules. Why do we not use this animal to replace pork or beef on our dinner tables? Why are rats completely ignored as a standard meal? The answer is not found in science. It is buried deep in our dark history. And I, someone who loves dissecting these strange mysteries, will explain it to you right now. Before you feel sick, you must understand a core truth. Consuming rodents is not a bizarre mutation of biology. Throughout human history, it was the absolute standard for millions of individuals. Listen to the sizzle of meat over an open charcoal fire. In the sun-drenched paddies of the Mekong Delta, field rats are a clean, high-priced delicacy, often costing more than premium livestock. Travel to the Indian plains, where the Musahar dig 2 meters into clay to hunt giant bandicoot rodents. They reclaim stolen grain and vital protein from deep underground burrows. Outsiders might call this desperate surviving, but it is actually apex ecological intelligence. In West Africa, the United Nations actively promotes farming the grasscutter, a massive 9-kilogram beast offering incredible nutritional value and financial stability. This is not just a developing world phenomenon. 2,000 years ago, Roman elites fattened dormice in specialized clay pots for lavish banquets. High in the Andes, guinea pigs have been domesticated for 7 millennia. Revered so deeply they sit roasted in colonial paintings of the Last Supper. Across the planet, we always embraced them. What shattered this norm? It was a catastrophe that permanently rewired the psychology of a civilization. In October 1347, ghost ships drifted into the quiet port of Messina on the island of Sicily. The sailors were dead, covered in weeping lumps. Hiding in the cargo hold were the rodents. The Black Death had arrived. This terrifying disease, the bubonic plague, slaughtered up to 200 million people. It erased half of Europe. And standing at the epicenter of this apocalypse, dying alongside the human population, was the rat. It absorbed all the blame. From a common nuisance, it was elevated to the avatar of death. It absorbed a cultural trauma lasting centuries. During the 1870 siege of Paris, extreme starvation forced citizens into eating them. But the disgust returned instantly the moment the siege ended. The demand vanished, but the deep horror was burned into their DNA. Yet that medieval European horror was completely misplaced. A city sewer rodent hosting 35 pathogens is a genuine threat. But a sun-drenched field rat eating fresh grain is as clean as a wild rabbit. People often ask, is field rat meat safe to eat? Absolutely. But a traumatized society never made that distinction. Enter the profound psychology of human disgust. Research on the contamination heuristic proves that food revulsion is not an innate instinct, it is a taught behavior. You could raise this animal in a sterile laboratory, feed it organic grain, and Western consumers would still physically gag. They are not reacting to the physical meat, their nervous systems are violently reacting to the word itself. So, why is eating rat meat a taboo? Because the specific culture that held the deepest trauma was also the culture that forcefully embraced colonialism and expanded across the globe. European colonizers exported their laws, and far more destructively, their rigid food hierarchies. Indigenous traditions that relied on these animals were brutally branded as savage. The dietary shame felt today in former colonies is not natural. The shame is imported. The high-density protein is local. When you look at your steak tonight, realize this. Your disgust is not a biological survival mechanism. It is a 700-year-old software virus installed in your brain by panicked ancestors. If we acknowledge the long history of eating rodents, why has human ingenuity not industrialized them alongside our cattle? The labor economics are brutal. To match the meat yield of a single pig, you must process hundreds of individuals. Furthermore, you must engineer massive steel and concrete fortresses to contain a creature possessing steel-reinforced saw blades for teeth, capable of chewing through plastic and flattening its ribcage to squeeze through a coin-sized gap. The biosecurity risks at scale would be unprecedented compared to standard livestock. But these are just engineering hurdles. The cold, hard truth: disgust kills the demand. Without demand, there is zero investment. Without investment, the technical barriers remain forever locked. The cycle strangles our potential. Step out of the shadows of colonialism and look at the brutal reality of our modern planet. The environmental impact of our traditional agriculture is apocalyptic. A single kilogram of beef drains 15,400 liters of water and emits 27 kilograms of greenhouse gases. Now, analyze the environmental impact of beef versus rats. Rodents require an absolute fraction of these resources. We are paralyzed by the ghost of the bubonic plague and the Black Death, terrified by biosecurity risks that modern engineering could easily solve. But the order Rodentia does not care about our trauma. They have existed for 56 million years. They know only two things: relentlessly breeding and perfectly surviving. Today, our global population is racing past 8 billion. To feed them, biologists warn that we must adapt our biology and our mindset. Even conservative estimates from pest control authorities show an untapped, endlessly renewable resource beneath our streets. Imagine if biologists engineered a way to process this meat invisibly, much like insect protein. It could become a perfectly sustainable future food for another 8 billion people. Yet, instead of harvesting them, we waste vital resources on futile pest control campaigns against an enemy that excels at breeding and surviving. Even the most conservative estimates prove we cannot exterminate them. The real tragedy is that rats are the most abundant protein on Earth, and the only thing compounding our environmental impact crisis is a 700-year-old ghost story. They only survive. Are we really going to let a medieval panic dictate what counts as food on a starving world? That is the question nobody dares to ask out loud. If this journey shattered your perspective, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and join me next time.